True life can only be experienced along the fucking parallel lines of motherfucking death. Because a lot of motherfuckers think, hey, I'm awake. That means I'm motherfucking living life. No, a lot of the times the people that are living life, aka the people you see around you, probably your mom and dad, the people at work, are all motherfucking zombies. It's because they don't live life along the parallel lines of death. Meaning that they're not actually living their life with kind of almost like a death wish. Because, like, you kind of gotta almost want to die, be willing to die to have what you want. And if you're not willing to die for it, I don't even recommend doing it at all, because that means it's not what you really, really, truly want and shit like that, right? And if it really comes to you, you might even actually run away from it and shit like that, right? Now, a lot of the times, the mind that we have been given, especially the self-concept that we identify as who we are and stuff like that. Now look, we're all gonna have our alignments, we're all gonna have our aspects, we're all gonna have our virtues, our principles, our vices and stuff like that. Our alignments, aka our Ethernet system, aka your moon heart chakra, your solar plexus, aka your actors that work together to make up the space that is you, for you to guide as an observer in this experience that you call life, right? But a lot of the times, this space can be possessed. It could be almost kind of taken over by an emotion that is not actually helping you identify with your highest possible good, and is therefore causing you to settle for a self-concept that is actually lesser than what you can actually have, because God is all that's possible, but the world's going to present you with possibilities, limited possibilities, and it's going to tell you that you have to be these things. You know, one of the things that I grew up with was, I had to become a Muslim, supposedly, and I didn't have a fucking choice. Well, look at me now. I made something whole new possible. I made my parents okay with me not being a Muslim, to the point that even my mom started watching tarot card readings. My mom started, like, doing some occult shit too. But why though? Because with my mind, I made it possible, right? So if you truly want to live the life that you really want on the highest level, this is not an option. You have to be willing to live along the fucking parallel lines of death. And you might think right now, no, I don't want to let go of my mind. I like my mind. It's so wonderful. It's so comfortable, really. That's why it's so fucking wonderful. So it's like when we get into our love, value, and appreciations and shit like that, our desires, animalistic desires and shit like that, a lot of these things just be comfortable and these things be appealing as far as a space to stay in, because, a lot of times the shadow government make it convenient for us to stay in these things. A lot of times the shadow government, the governments, a lot of times all over the world, make it convenient for us to play these victim roles. Now you literally got people putting on mental illnesses on TV, on fucking YouTube and shit like that, right? And getting paid for that shit, getting paid to fucking look stupid. Like the Island Boys, for example. That's not, in my mind, that's not no artist, music artist people should follow. You know what I'm saying? Artists you should be following is motherfucking Dave B, motherfucking Saint Uno, motherfucking Moody Mercury Baby, motherfucking Tunnel Vision, motherfucking Dodo the Pilot Man. Now these are real artists you can fucking listen to and shit like that, right? But a lot of the times, you got these people up there making you kind of almost identify with these things. Because when you realize that your whole parameter, your whole circumstance, whatever direction you look at mentally, there is something put in place there on purpose to suck on your energy, so you can have your attention, so you can give away your attention. And a lot of these things, for example, in the religious community, in the religious world, be based on fear mongering, be based on stress. Hey, pray or you're gonna go to fucking hell. And you're like, no, I don't want to go to hell. And a lot of the times you can, because you gotta understand that it's an energy that people put on you. So things like shame, things like worry, things like toxicity, things like self-hatred, these are things that we build up within our lifetime as a line of event and stuff like that. But a lot of the times when you find yourself born into a situation or circumstance, incarnated into a family and shit like that, that's, on a percentage level, it seems like things are negative, not going in your favor. That lets you know in other lifetimes you didn't necessarily have things going in your favor. So in some way, shape, or form, you actually got defeated and defeated yourself. But we all need to understand that that is the highest form of blasphemy. Blasphemy is not when you say fuck God or fuck Jesus or fuck Allah. Don't catch feelings about these names. These are just names for a parameter and shit like that. Blasphemy is when you fucking blasphemize yourself, when you hate yourself, when you tell yourself I'm limited, when you tell yourself that I'm incapable, when you tell yourself that you don't know, that you're not sure. No, all that shit is blasphemy. Your spirit, subconscious don't know exactly what to do, but you gotta be brave enough to let go of a lot of these thoughts and feelings, which a lot of times can become a subconscious wiring system that kick in to prevent us from going into new situations that we actually may want to experience. So a lot of the times we may want to try that new hobby. A lot of the times we may want to try that new meditation style, or whatever it is that you want to jump into, or you know, go up to that girl or talk to that bitch, or you know what I'm saying, go and make that music track, or you know what I'm saying. Up until recently, like even me, I'm just getting motherfucking comfortable with my art, because you know, in my mind, like, someone told me when I was younger on, nah, you're supposed to be logical, nah, you're supposed to think like this, nah, you're supposed to feel like this, right? So it's like me right now at fucking 25, I'm just getting into my creativity now. So there's a lot of energy work that you gotta put in to, I'm saying, make it out of that state of mind. Because a lot of the times when we refer to our lives based on these lies, these limited lies, because these are actually lies, because you need to understand that you're lying to yourself. You're creating a form of cognitive dissonance, whether you like it or not. Now, it can be a good cognitive dissonance, or it could be a bad cognitive dissonance. A negative cognitive dissonance would be like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I will never make it in life, but you know, there could be a job paying you $60 an hour. But since you programmed yourself, you told yourself, I will never make it in life, you might never see that job sign that says $60 an hour. You might never have the belief to go into that for what appears to be a 500 Fortune company, or whatever they call it, based on our limited self-concepts and shit like that, right? But a good cognitive dissonance will be, I fucking believe in myself. No weapon formed against me will prosper. All who rise up against me will get their motherfucking ass whooped. Now that doesn't, now going to that side of things, it doesn't mean that you're stupid, that you're unwise. No, obviously you gotta be observant of the situation and shit like that, right? But at the same time, though, it's all fucking up to you. Because who says that if you really believe what you believe? That's what I'm saying. You gotta be willing to fucking die for this shit. That's why if I put a motherfucking gun in your head, you better tell me that, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. Because if I shoot you in the head, you're gonna go to that exact world that your mind was pointing to, that your mind was focused on and shit like that, right? So, but if I put a gun and point it at your head and shit like that, right? And you really believe that you're who you say you are, that you're a confident motherfucker, that you love yourself, chances are, motherfucker that's pointing the gun at you will probably drop that shit. You'll probably be like, man, this person is not scared. This person is not in fear. Because you have to understand that fear itself, adrenochrome, is fucking food. Oh, demons love that shit. Oh, yeah. At my workplace, oh, yeah, they love that shit. But that's the thing. So when I go to work, I see like a bunch of lesser demons being ran by greater demons and shit like that. But I deal with all of them motherfuckers. All of them is nothing and shit like that. Because it's really when you understand what's going on, like I said in the earlier video, become what you despise and shit like that. When you understand to see in the fucking dark, can no one do nothing to you? Because you actually understand what's truly going on. See, people that don't know what's going on, people that subject themselves as an object of someone else outside of them or some shit like that, just truly don't fucking know what's going on. Like, they're just blind. They're just goofy. Boo Boo the Blind. Don't know what's going on. Some next shit. But that's why it's so important for us to know what the fuck is going on, by actually accepting reality for what it is. And what is reality? Both darkness and both light. Both desires, love, hatred, and both love, value, and appreciation. Both individuality and selfishness, and both, you know, relatability and hopefully not gullibility and shit like that, right? And so all these are just different points that we travel to in our lives and shit like that, right? And I like how Dodo the Pilot Man talked about it. He talked about it as different points that we travel to in order to make our circumstance, our situation, kind of, because we're almost like, because we're building up, because we're literally like giving birth to a new mind. Like, once you give birth to that new mind, you'll literally be able to experience your life literally just holistically differently. I'm talking about different thoughts and feelings, clairvoyance, being able to clearly perceive what's going on with you, going on with the world around you. But a lot of times people can't see clearly because their mind is so cluttered with thoughts and feelings of who they are, self-concepts, old benchmarks, things that people said to them, what their cursed ass grandma said to them, what their cursed ass mom and dad said to them, or whatever it is. See, these are a lot of the times, these are things that we need to learn to fucking deal with and dismantle these things, so these things don't actually get in the way of what we're actually truly aiming for. Because you know what you want. What you're scared to do, what you fear, that's exactly where you need to be. That's exactly where you need to go. So whatever it is that you're scared of, that's exactly where you need to go. Because that's basically kind of God's telling you like, yeah, because God will talk to you in some weird way. I'll be like, yeah, I know you're scared of going to that situation, but that's what I did before you was even here for me to become who I am, the Almighty One, or whatever you want to call it. Because we're just inside of a parameter, and we're just we're becoming aware of ourselves. And the more we go through more experiences and shit like that, the more we become aware, the more we become expanded, the more we become a bigger spirit, right? And it's not about becoming a like big spirit, small spirit. A lot of these things are upside down and shit, because you can create a big ass fucking ego, and that pride might be your fall and shit, or you can create a small freaking space, a small spirit and shit like that can go through situations being like unseen, almost kind of almost like you got like mysterious ways. So a lot of the things in the realm be kind of like upside down. A lot of people be conflated unknowingly. Their mind be lost in some bullshit and shit. Like a lot of the times people tell you like a lot of times religious people will tell you, nah, worship God. I say fucking worship yourself. But worshiping yourself is just basically saying you creating a worship. Like everything you do in life is your worship. When you go to work, that's your worship. Because what is it basically? When you come to your family circumstance, that's your worship, right? Who you are personally as an individual, that's your worship. What you value personally, that's your worship and shit like that, right? But it depends. A lot of the times we give our worship, our war weapons, our chakras, our energy to other entities and deities, other institutions outside of us to facilitate and process ourselves, because we may not have a discipline, we may not have a practice, we may not be confident in who we are, we might not have self-actualized who we are. We may have not done the fucking shadow work and shit like that. So a lot of the times we may just decide that we're gonna settle for what the world has offered us. But just like you and I, we've been very observant people, of course. I know that you're watching this video. You're a very observant man or woman. I know that you noticed, and I know that you know that the system is sucking your fucking energy. It probably won't even give you a big ass return. You know what I'm saying? You have these politicians taking your money from your moms and pops pockets, all types of shit. So it's like the system is not gonna give you the yield that you're looking for. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs go into business for themselves, because they want to create their own lifestyle. But what does that require? Living alongside the motherfucking parallel lines of motherfucking death, because that's what it fucking requires, period. You have to be willing to fucking die every single day. You have to be willing to shed off these lights, these awareness, these mentalities. Because all these things are just cloths. All these things are just ropes. We take all these things off and we put these things on. Same thing with this flesh and blood that I put on. I will shed this shit, and when I die, I will put another one on. But what will determine what type of flesh and blood, whether it's positive or negative, whether I get born into a circumstance of a family that's actually more positive in my favor, is all going to depend on what I do today to make sure that happens sustainably forever. And look, there's no point of being like a quote-unquote loser. You might as well become a winner, because that shit will follow you for a lifetime. And the only reason you feel defeated right now is because your spirit has already been defeated, broken before. And now your spirit is trying to create an extreme situation for you to make it out of that mental conundrum. Either it's going to be very destructive, very platonic, like Pluto will just take away shit from you, or you're going to figure out by yourself that, damn, you know what? I need to get out of these thoughts and feelings. I need to get out of this self-concept. I need to disarm this biological wiring that makes me fear, that makes me ashamed, that makes me worried, that makes me feel whatever it is that you feel that, stops you from moving forward. Because the moment you stop moving forward, you've stopped carrying the spear of destiny. Because destiny is the north. You're supposed to go forward. Just like in astrology, how you have the north node and shit like that, right? But since we have to learn to balance these things, meaning that, like, it's up to you, really. There's no right or wrong way. Like, you can go through extreme situations that you're uncomfortable with, a bunch of them today, and you can shed a bunch of weight. It's gonna feel extreme, like, but at the same time, though, you would build up that, what's it called? Resistance for that toxicity, mentally speaking and shit like that, right? Or you just be able to basically let go of the thoughts and feelings that you thought was whatever limits you thought were actually there in your mind. By going through those experiences, you would realize that, goddamn it, those were only in my fucking mind. Like, for me to be able to fucking post videos like this, for me to be able to motherfucking talk to 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, Muslims and shit like that are older than me, and them listening to me, you gotta understand that I have to be a little bit fucking delusional in my mind. You don't think Muhammad or Jesus or all these or whatever ruler, you don't think these guys are fucking a little delusional? That's why I'm telling you it's important to have a cognitive dissonance about yourself. Your character should be unbreakable. Now that's easier said than fucking done, but it takes baby steps every single day, right? Like, I'm not perfect either. I don't motherfucking I ain't fucking Jesus. I wouldn't even say that fucking Jesus is perfect. But what I'm saying is, you know what? It takes fucking balance every day. It takes balancing your south node and your north node. But it takes that mindset to forever continue kind of like going on your path and shit like that. Because it may appear hard, but this is gonna be the most liberating shit ever. Because when you liberate yourself from people gaslighting you, when you liberate yourself from people fucking love bombing you, when you liberate yourself from all these psychological manipulation techniques that are naturally implemented in the world. Now look, there's nothing wrong with manipulation at the same time though, because that's, you gotta understand the Scorpio energy and shit. Because it's not really manipulation. It's really just strategy and shit like that, right? So you gotta be able to understand how to be strategic, and ain't nothing really wrong with that either. So you gotta really understand what's going on in the world around you, and you really gotta be willing to live a lifestyle every day that takes you along the parallel lines of death. Like, you should be saying shit to people. People will be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this Negro? This Negro loses mind." People should be looking at you like, "What the fuck?" But that's what God liked. God liked the spirit that's fucking daring. God likes somebody who dare to be them. God likes somebody that literally is not afraid of shit. Because God, look at that, like, this person can be used as a vessel to create something new. So it's like, when you go down that line of thought of, like, it's not even a line of thought. It's like when you just let go of these thoughts and feelings, you go into the darkness, nothingness, you're light, you're more clairvoyant on a percentage level, and you're able to receive something new within your space, right? Rather than constantly receiving these thoughts and feelings that are limiting, that we're constantly recycling, because a lot of the times we'll be recycling our baggages, aka we don't be not knowing how to deal with our Ouroboros energy. We don't be knowing how to deal with our motherfucking Ouroboros energy, which is our recycling energy. You got to be able to recycle the energies that the government, that the shadow government subconsciously gave you. Because a lot of times, if you're still being manipulated by the institution known as religion, you need to understand that that's a government pillar, and they've been using that shit to run the world for ages. That's a corporation. I said that fucking right. That's a corporation. That's a corpse. Literally, with the ability of understanding how to trap a particular ray of energy, and whatever spirits resonate with that shit, go into that shit. Why do you think Jesus motherfuckers is a bunch of loving ass hippie motherfuckers? Now, that's the face they put, but they're really a bunch of aggressive, backstabbing, manipulating, motherfuckers basically. But that's the face they show you love Venus, but behind closed doors is something else. See, you kind of got to go to the church, blah, blah, hang out with some Christians, blah, blah, or you talk to one of them, or find you a pastor that was a pastor, blah, blah, so you can understand what's really going on. Because I guarantee you, try to, let's say your dad is a pastor, or let's say you go to the church, right? And tell your pastor, I'm not coming no more. The pastor's going to be like, foolishness! You are going to hell. I'm doing my fucking Ghana accent and shit. Yeah, but the pastor is gonna fucking patronize you and shit, right? And he's gonna make you feel he's gonna make you feel worried. But ask yourself, if someone with godly virtues and principles need to do that, because they would know that they are the example for something, and they would understand that subconsciously they are the most powerful person, but they're really being a greater demon, and you're just being a lesser demon under them. You gotta know how to be angelic, and sometimes you gotta learn how to fight fire with fire, because a lot of these people that are lost in their ego and shit, you gotta learn to fight fire with fire. You gotta fucking drop your nuts, and make sure your nuts is really sweaty when you drop that shit on their face, so they catch some of that sweat. They're like, oh shit, I better not mess with this person. Yeah, I don't want to feel like that again. Sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you gotta do that with these motherfuckers and shit like that. But yeah, a lot of people don't be necessarily responsible for recycling their Ouroboros energy, which is nothing but their infinity wheel and shit like that. Because what you are cycling in out of, little do you know, these are things that we've been in for a long time, that a lot of the times we don't be looking at these things like they are bad for us, but when we look at our life, we be getting less on a percentage level of the things that we actually want to quote unquote manifest, if we want to use that word, or just really just experience, or just put ourselves in circumstances and situations that we actually want to experience and shit like that. And for me, for example, I know one of the things that I have to work on is, learning to associate with people better and shit like that. Because I know that's one of the things that I don't necessarily do well in and shit like that, right? Just based upon what I've structured in my mind already, or what I accept as reality, as the reality of associations and groups and spirit groups and soul groups and all that, right? So I'm not perfect either. So I have to live by my own word, and that's why I'm here, to live by my own word, to live by my own, what's the word, man? To really just validate myself and to really just go on and do the things that I've been knowing that I need to do. And one of those things is me being here today, talking to you about living life along the parallel lines of death. Because believe me, I wish I was lying to you that this is not what you have to do. I wish that was not the case. I wish God can just pick you up out of your situation and put you in heaven and hallelujah. We all do that. But sorry, not sorry. But at the same time though, once you get used to it, you'll start to see that the world's full of bitch ass niggas. And you start to see that people in general, really is not shit when you just see what's actually going on in the dark. And then nothing will scare you no more. Because you will become the thing that they are scared of in the dark. Now the goal is, the goal isn't to fucking scare people. That's not what it is. Sometimes it's just like people are subconsciously scared of someone that's just more aware of them. But because we're more angelic on a percentage level, we're going to display some type of godly, virtual godly principle of being equalized, being balanced in some type of way, shape, or form, so the other person can understand that, hey, I'm not lost in either extremes. I'm not lost in love, and I'm not lost in desire. You have to understand that all these forms that people project on you as Hadoukens, as light, some project their passion, their desire, or they love bomb you, they love at you, tell you, brother, I love you. Or your girlfriend tell you, brother, I love you. Hope we should get married. Ain't nothing wrong with these things. Just understand what these things are and stuff like that, so you don't get lost in these things. A lot of the times, you have people getting lost in their desires. You get people lost in love. You get people lost in too much relatability with other people. You got people lost in too much selfishness, lack of empathy for other people, right? So all these things are just different centers of energies that we can get lost in. And our goal is, as a spirit, as an observer, to really equalize, to really balance, to become the middle pillar and stuff like that, the equalization, so we can, have some form of balance in our lives, so we don't be subject to fear, worry, and doubt, or love, or whatever energy on a percentage level that you may be, dealing with and stuff like that, right? But you know what? It's all about creating a new self-concept for yourself, because it's up to you to identify with whoever you want to identify with, right? Or whatever you want to be your self-concept. You got motherfuckers out here identifying as dogs and cats and shit. You got motherfuckers out here identifying as a man being a woman and a woman being a man. But at the same time, all these things are esoteric concepts, right? Because femininity is just the nighttime of the day. The moon, basically. Masculinity is the daytime of the day, the sun and shit like that, right? And you can get into it deeper in the Kabbalah or whatever you want to do. But all these things are just esoteric things, and the mind is so powerful, people get lost in the dark side of that gift. People start to play out roles that, their objective nature, the physicality, may not necessarily reflect, but they're really just playing out some type of internal mentality that they have adopted as a form of shelter, some form of victim system, or just a way is just kind of like, what's it called? Giving up, yielding some type of way, shape, or form to the system and stuff like that. A lot of the times that'd be the easier things to do. But don't ever get it twisted. Purpose is wonderful, right? Because it really is a high vibrational experience, getting out of these things. Because really, death is like an orgasm. Death is basically like a fucking orgasm, basically. When you allow yourself to go through it, when you have some grace on yourself, and you'll start to understand that, damn, every day I can be just like a snake and shed my goddamn skin and become someone new every day, right? And you become lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, and then you can just kind of add on into that emptiness whatever you want to, or you can just choose to, go into your experiences with that new emptiness, with that clairvoyance, with that clarity that you've created through your clairvoyance practice. And when you do that, basically, you attract the ledges that you need through that situation, because your mind shouldn't be calculating what's going to happen before it even happens. A lot of the times, we allow our parents to tell us what's going to happen before it even happens. We allow the education system to tell us what's going to happen before it's going to happen. We allow the goddamn cursed grandmama to tell us what's going to happen before it's going to happen. We allow the government to predict it, which is all just forms of predictive programming, which is all just forms of me telling you what your future is going to be. And if you accept that shit, If you become subject to my objective, then you gotta understand you just didn't understand the game, and that's just really all it is. But yeah, with that being said, true life can only be experienced on the parallel lines of death. Don't never motherfucking forget that, or hey, you're gonna experience it for yourself either way, whether you like it or not. Peace out.